Hey, Barry Eaton here, and welcome to Radio Out There. This week, I invite you to come on a very different kind of journey. Magdalene's journey. We're going to combine the world of science and spirituality with the two wonderful people who wrote this book, Renee Blodgett and Anthony Compagnone. A very different program on Radio Out There. Renee and Anthony, welcome to Radio Out There, the only radio show with pictures. Good to talk to you. How are you?
We are good, and we're very happy to be here with you today, Barry. Thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Now, I won't go into your whole background because we could do a whole program on that, the both of you, but you are the founders of Blue Soul Earth, and that helps people awaken to their life's purpose. And boy, do a lot of people need that. So tell us just a little bit about life soul purpose in your Blue Soul Earth, I should say, and where we go from there. We'll then talk about the book, all right?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, well, we've been doing this now for about 12 years, 10 to 12 years, and we lead retreats and we have membership programs where we work with people on a daily basis, sometimes in a mentorship program, or a few times a month through our membership programs where we just meet and Anthony goes into, you could say, an expanded state of awareness. Some people call it channeling. And we bring forth different energies, and it's an interactive dialogue where we take questions and there's guided meditations. Some healing takes place as well. And so those are our main programs, Blue Soul Ignite and Magdalene Sisters, which is for women only. Sorry, gentlemen.
That's only for Mag Sisters, though.
Yeah, that's only for Magdalene Sisters. The other one is the Blue Soul Ignite one kind of goes deeper into the Gnostic teachings of Yeshua.
Ah, fair enough. Well, that's I like the way you combine spiritual and science because I mean we all need spirituality, but with science these days we have to look at putting both together, don't we?
Yes, we do, and I think that's been a really important part of our work, largely because we came out of, Anthony's still in science, and I was in the tech industry for a very long time. So we definitely believe in science, and we feel that the blending of the two keeps you grounded.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, let's have a look at your wonderful book, Magdalene's Journey, Mary Magdalene's Untold Story and Teachings. It's about the relationship between Yeshua and Miriam, or Mary Magdalene, and your two main characters, Rochelle and Angelo, and how their souls meld together. And the story unfolds from there. So tell us a little bit about the background, how it happened, and why.
You want to start with that?
Yeah, it's a very long journey for both of us. I am a channeler, and the beings or the characters in the book, Angelo and Rochelle, really,
well, they're based on our parallel experiences
Yes.
in our lives.
and they're having these incredible experiences where Yeshua or Jesus comes through and starts to talk and teach, and Miriam does the same thing. Well, in life, that's really what happens to me as well. For the last, I'd say 10 to 12 years, the being that refers to himself as Yeshua, we know him as Jesus, comes through and to talk and to teach, and Miriam will do the same as well. During our programs, it's the same thing. Yeshua will come through and teach, and for Magdalene Sisters, Miriam will come through and teach. And in the book, you'll see that Miriam comes through and she's teaching about her life with Yeshua and all of the trials and tribulations that she went through and what it was to be a woman 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty stark times then, wasn't it, for women? I mean, they were just referred to as breeders. They were there just to put more people on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really how she said it was for her.
Mm.
Yeah.
But the other thing, and I'm not sure how far you are into the book, but the other thing that the couple are trying to get their heads around is how is this happening? How are souls that are, beings and their souls coming through in this timeline and this reality and communicating through us? Is that even scientifically possible? They wonder, right? And if so, how does it happen? And so the beginning part is a lot of self-doubt, some criticism, but more self-doubt, and denial. Like, how is this possible? Is this, how does this happening? Are we meeting at a portal in between? And so there's a lot of pushback between Rochelle and Miriam of Magdala asking, well, how is it that you're taking hold of my husband's larynx and speaking through it? How does this work?
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think it's just his larynx she's using.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a channel, Anthony. I've also channeled, and it's a funny feeling, isn't it? I work with trans mediums. I am a medium myself, so I understand how it all works. But for the average person out there, I think more and more people are starting to realize we
Yeah.
can connect with those in spirit, and we can be guided, helped, inspired, whatever. So is that the reason for the book? So that you can not just have a historical fiction, which some people might say, oh, this book's just historical fiction. There's more to it than that. It's far deeper than just historical fiction.
It is far deeper than just historical fiction because Renee and I both had to do a great deal of research into areas that both Miriam and Yeshua would speak about, especially about quantum relationships.
Mm.
That is to say, quantum physics, things that we knew nothing about. We had to
Join the
read
tribe.
about all of these things.
Yeah, we need.
Particles, subatomic particles,
Yeah.
quarks, all of these weird things that we knew nothing about, because they would start speaking to us about the quantum aspect of one's soul and the particles, frequencies, and vibrations that make up a soul that we have never heard about before. And so it does go very deep into things of that nature, very esoteric, um, scientific things that Renee and I knew nothing about.
And we never professed to know anything about
No.
quantum physics, right? And so that's a large part why in the preface we talk to people before they read the book and say, listen, this is not a lesson on quantum physics. We're not professing that we know anything about that. And nor are we suggesting that this is a replacement for all of your beliefs that you hold dear. We're simply saying it's another perspective. It's a female's perspective, a pivotal female's
Mm.
perspective who was conveniently left out of history and holy books. And
Yeah.
so it really invites the reader to think about how we were conditioned through a patriarchy lens for
Mm.
so many years. And as a result, we've gotten to the place where we're in, where we're out of balance. We're out of balance as a species between the masculine and feminine. And so, it's really also inviting the reader to rethink that and
Mm.
Yeah.
to
But
allow us
surely
to.
you must have been guided down this track. I mean, it's not something, as you said before, none of us are quantum experts. I've done quite a lot of work on quantum consciousness and whatever, but most people aren't guided down that area. What took you down there to do that research? Now, was it channeled?
Absolutely. I mean, the story part of her life, what Miriam and Yeshua
Mm.
spoke in the book has been unchanged.
From
That
what came through,
from
what
what
comes
came
through me,
through.
the way Miriam will,
Mm.
Yeah.
um, I'm a full embodied channel.
Mm.
So Miriam will take hold, the being will take hold of my auric field and speak through me. and I will become her and she becomes me. Yeshua becomes me, I become him, and that's how it works for me personally
Yeah, so
as a
none
channeler.
of that really was, I mean, some of the grammar's been changed. So
Yeah.
unlike Paul Selig, who went to Yale University and was a literary major, we didn't just throw it out there unedited.
No.
So the grammar was edited because there was a lot of repetition, and then it was turned into this narrative and all the other pieces of it, of these fictitious characters, Rochelle and Angelo, and the experiences that they were having were laced within, you could say.
Now, to me, having read most of the book, a couple of chapters I haven't got around to yet, but I've gone from beginning to end. To me, it is very, very obvious that Rochelle and Angelo are interchangeable with Renee and Anthony.
Really?
Right? Really?
Well,
Uh, I mean,
it's really, I think,
Rochelle or Renee becomes Rochelle, and Anthony becomes Angelo. R for
Mhm.
R, A for A. Not only that, but I mean, it is to me as a medium, it's so obvious that you guys have been in touch with the soul energies, the consciousness of both Joshua and also Miriam. So tell us a bit about that, because my audience are right into all of that. We all understand that that is how it works. So what opened everything up in the first place for you? Was it an interest or a deep desire to really help humanity?
I love that. Um, was it a deep desire to really help humanity?
Well,
it is
It
today.
is now.
It is.
exactly. Yeah.
Wasn't when I lived in the Bronx in New York. It certainly wasn't. By profession, I'm a pediatric speech and language pathologist.
Hmm.
So there is a little bit of that desire to help humanity because I work with small children with special needs in the Hispanic community. That's my specialty area. So I love working with humanity. I love working with women and helping children to communicate with their parents and with their siblings. However, I never expected anything like this to happen to myself. And thank God or thank Goddess that Renee was here to help me get through it because I had no idea what was going on. I had never studied anything like that. I had meditated through my yoga practice. I had done a lot of kung fu, which is energy work, but I had no desire ever to be a spiritual teacher or leader or, in that fact, a channeler. So, how it happens, I'm not 100% sure.
Would you like me to tell you? Because it's your
Well,
life purpose. That's why.
Yes, of
that's
course,
what
of
it said.
course.
It said
Mhm.
I've heard that many times. It's my life's purpose.
And
Yeah.
we all stumble on it, hopefully, anyway, at some stage. Took me um, halfway through my life to stumble on that as an
Yeah.
actor, broadcaster, writer, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the world opened up. Was that the same for you, Anthony?
It it certainly opened up in ways I never expected. It can be extremely painful too. And
Mm.
I don't mean just emotionally painful. I mean physically painful. And it was a very difficult opening when I lived in New York. I didn't know what was going on. Eventually, I moved to the West Coast where Renee was, and I thank God that she was there because
The opening happened in California.
helping in
Yeah,
California.
that's really where it happened. And
So
then, nothing was the same. And in fact, given your audience, we can speak about this. A
Hmm.
lot of people did compare our early day experience with Edgar Casey because they really, in the beginning, Anthony would sit in the dark. We couldn't have the lights on. He would be lying down. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. So it was very difficult in the beginning. Only one and two word utterances came out at the beginning, and then, it increased to more and more until, there's a point in the book, if you remember, where Rochelle and Angelo are describing it like a radio tuning place where, the frequency, they're trying to get the frequency tuned in to be to align with their frequency. And
Well,
that's kind
we
of
all
what,
work on a vibrational level anyway, don't we? So we have to
yeah,
raise our vibrations to be able to connect with the other dimensions.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so that's the background. Let's talk about what came through, because obviously you were put in touch with Yeshua, and Miriam contacted you to tell the story because they wanted to put certain things out there. Now, we all know, or most of us anyway, the basic story of Jesus, the crucifixion, the apostles, the whole story like that. And you do go into that. But what was the main reason that you were contacted, and what is the main point you want to put over?
well, I think a big part of it was that we were working together as a couple.
Mm,
And I had done my own spiritual path, right? Left religion behind, explored Buddhism and Gnosticism, and, went to all the workshops and the conferences and the silent retreats and lived in India and kibbutz in Israel. And I did all of that, right, before I met Anthony. And so I had been on a long spiritual path too.
mm,
And so when we kind of came together, I was definitely more how do I put this? The spiritual but not religious goddess type, that was really more my path. And when I met Anthony, he had a cross in his house. And that terrified me. I thought, what the hell have I gotten into? Like, wait a minute.
By the way, we met at our
Yeah.
high school reunion.
Ah, you went to high school.
There are
Gee.
no coincidences,
There's
are
no
there?
Oh,
coincidence.
no, no, no. I
But
firmly
anyway,
believe,
that was terrifying to me,
I'll
Barry.
bet.
Can you imagine? I thought, what if I walked into this, this very Catholic Italian boy, from the Bronx? And so, that really was the earth, you could say, because the
Mm.
guides that we work with call me Gaia. I was the earth and the grounding cord. And Anthony has really always been in the ethers.
In a manner of speaking.
In a minute, yeah, fair enough. Now, there's a lot of points that Yeshua and Miriam put across, but one of them, we might as well talk about it now, and that
Yeah.
is religion, because they say that, well, religion is sort of, it's not evolving, and they've got quite a lot to say about that. So perhaps that's why you two were put together, and we all agreed to this before we were born anyway. So you've had a previous life together. There's no doubt about that. And the fact that you are now working together, the fact that one is the high spiritual goddess and the other brought all of that formal religion in, that is not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I
No,
believe in
no, it
synchronicity.
can't be.
So
It
all
can't
of that
be.
is there. So what is the point that you feel that Yeshua was bringing over about religion in the 21st century?
I believe, in my humble opinion, that what Yeshua teaches through what comes through me is basically the same thing that he was saying 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That the essence of source, God, is always within you. It never leaves. It was always there, that you are not separate from God. And in fact, I truly believe that he wanted to say, you are God.
Mm.
God is within you. The consciousness of Christ, or love itself, dwells within you.
Within all of us.
And you don't have to follow
A guru or, a priest or a rabbi.
Mm.
The kingdom lies within. That was his message
It
2,000
was.
years ago.
But also, both he and Miriam, and I always stress this too, that they do want societies to know that they were Jewish and they did practice Judaism, not to the extent that
They were rebels.
they were rebels in their own time.
Mm.
They
Mm.
were not Orthodox or conservative Jews. They broke
All the rules.
most of the rules. That's how they were.
Mm.
They were the hippies of 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were about love. He was truly all about love. And
So you probably
yeah,
got to the chapter. There's a whole chapter at the end,
I
by the
know.
way, which kind of upset me because at the end of it, it made the assumption, Yeshua was making the assumption that that was the end of the book. And I thought, well, that's not going to be the end of the book. You know, you're not going to finish the book on Miriam's life, you know. And so I went back and I said, Magdalene, come back through because we're not finishing the book this way. And that's what resulted in chapter 22 to finish it off. But in his chapter where he speaks, you're referring to where he says religions are not evolving.
Mm,
Everything else evolves. Why are not religions?
mm,
And so I think he's trying to get people to step out of the box. And certainly nowhere is the message to abandon anything that works for you.
no.
But the message is to take what is giving and loving
Mm,
and supportive to you, and that anything that's divisiveness and fearful and doesn't serve you on your spiritual path to leave
I
behind.
don't think he says exactly that they're not evolving. They evolve, but it's
Slow.
very slow.
very slowly. Mm.
Very
I
slow.
love the quote that in the book. It says, humanity has made me into something I was not in my life. They have
Yes.
shaped him to what they want, he basically said, not or what the church wanted, not what he and Miriam and all the male and female apostles were sending out and teaching.
Yeah, you're absolutely right
They
there.
made him into
A Messiah.
a
A Messiah.
Messiah.
Yeah.
And he will say this. It's very interesting how he says these things. He said, I believed that I was the Messiah.
At that time.
At that time, he
Mm,
said, but in truth, there is no Messiah. But I believed it. I had to believe it for myself.
mm.
Because that's all they knew,
That's all
Yeah.
right?
they knew.
Well, they were
And
very
he,
simple times, weren't they?
Very simple times, yeah.
yes, they were.
And women didn't have a voice. And I think one of the reasons that Magdalene's coming through is really to, it's almost to say, it's my time to change
Mm,
consciousness.
mm,
Yeshua was never going to go away. He was an amazing spiritual
mm,
teacher and leader and master. And we should honor him for that, but we should not forget the woman who stood by his side and
mm,
healed and taught with him, as well as the female apostles, because the yin and yang really working together
works
were
together.
a more
Mm.
powerful force.
So, Renee, let's talk about Miriam now, or Mary, and what was the message she wanted to get across? Because, I mean, I've never ever believed she was a prostitute hanging around the streets and whatever. The church tried to talk about that. But what was the reason she wanted to set the record straight, if you like, or add to what she was doing, or explain? What did you find?
Well, it's interesting to talk about this because the book's only been out for a month,
Mm.
came out in January. And only recently, after the book came out, we were having dinner one night and she came through for a chit chat,
So chit
as
chat, I like
chit
that.
chat as sometimes happens.
Yeah. Hi, Miriam here, in for chat.
Yeah, no, it's a bit like that, actually. It's a bit
Really?
like that. They ask what we're eating and drinking, and yeah, absolutely. It's quite profound. And, she got very passionate and she said it 3 times. She said,
Mm.
heal my line 3 times.
Ah,
So I think in intricately working with the channeled content and our teachings and learnings that have also gone into the book, as well as you've seen, we've also included many other masters' references from
mm,
the Upanishads to philosophers and so forth. I think really that message of what she's trying to say here is one thing what Anthony was saying, that they weren't Catholics, that didn't even exist back
no,
then, right?
no.
So they want to correct that wrong. She was equal to Yeshua and stood by his side. That's a big part of the message.
Although the other apostles didn't
Yeah,
accept her, did they? Really? She was a woman. That was a problem.
no, they didn't.
mm-mm.
Yeah. Which, by the way, academics have also discovered that, right? Through the Gnostic teachings, Gospel of Thomas, some of the other
Mm,
stuff that came out of Nag Hammadi. We learned that,
mm,
she was treated quite poorly by the male apostles.
very much. Well,
Yeah.
that's why she had to run away with the other female apostles after the so-called resurrection, and because they would have probably been horribly punished by the Romans and the all the other Jewish authorities and whatever.
Yeah, they feared for their lives, actually.
Mm,
Yeah. I think that's why I believe that's why they did decide to go away and start anew in a manner of speaking.
And I'm going to bring up one other thing that we haven't actually brought up in any interview because,
Uh-oh.
well, no, I'm thinking
I
about
hope
this.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. When she says heal my line, and
Yeah.
you think about Judaism and you
Mm,
think about not just there, the Catholics have their fair brunt of it too, this whole guilt that we have, that we bear, the cross that we bear in Catholicism,
well,
the
that's what I
guilt
died
that
for your sins. I mean, heavens
yeah,
above.
all of
Really?
that,
Oh
all of
no.
that. And I
Yeah.
think, when you think of epigenetics, right, it's living in our DNA, this negativity. I'm not worthy enough
Mm,
to I'm not worthy enough for God. I'm not worthy enough for whatever. And I think part of the healing my line statement also means that
mm,
let's really get rid of that as a narrative and create a higher consciousness that's filled with what we do have, not what we're
mm,
missing. We're not missing anything. We haven't done anything wrong. We haven't sinned. It's really healing that piece of it. So let's replace all of that negativity and the sin and the guilt and
mm.
with we are love, we are consciousness, we are God, we are, divinity, and we are whole and perfect as it is. I think that's a big part of the message too.
Mm. But they were all human, weren't they? That was it. I mean, they've almost been pushed up to godlike status by the church. I mean, Yeshua was afraid. He was fearful about being crucified. I mean, who wouldn't be? But I mean, there was none of this, I'm dying for your sins because my father has done this. He has set the record straight, hasn't he, Anthony, by what
Yeah,
he
he
talks
really
about in the
does.
book?
He says, I did not, I know people are not going to like this. What he said, he did not die for the sins of humanity,
Yeah,
but rather he died for what he believed in,
Yeah.
his love for humanity,
yeah.
and the message that was coming through him as well.
Yeah.
And the oneness, the universal consciousness, the source that the temple lies within, it's always here. And I believe that's what he died for.
Yeah.
Mm,
He died for what he believed in.
mm. Well, that's
And
right, because Miriam says, I quote, we are here, she and Yeshua, to create waves as we did 2,000 years ago. And they are back now, through you guys, to create more waves.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's true, right?
it is true. Yeah.
There
Well, I
was
hope you're creating waves, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was, I think we were speaking at, I think it was at Conscious Life Expo, the big expo in the United States.
Hmm.
And Magdalene had come through and we were channeling on stage. And, she really was emphatic. And she came through and said, I'm not here to be liked. And she said, I don't care if any of you like my message or what I'm saying. I'm here to speak my truth, and it's long overdue.
Hmm.
So it jars some people,
Yeah.
certainly. It's not going to be a positive reinforcing book or narrative, if you like, for those who have grown up with very traditional values. It might be very jarring for some
But you're
people.
not there to tell fluffy little Bible stories, are you? You are there and you have been contacted and your souls have melded because of a much higher purpose.
Yeah, it appears that way. I mean, it's certainly not something that we sought out.
No,
I
no, you
try
didn't set
not
out to
to,
do it. No.
Barry,
Yeah.
we try to be really humble with our messages,
Mm,
and we don't try to feel or think of ourselves as we have been contacted, that we, Renee and Anthony, are the special ones that have been contacted. I don't see it that way.
No.
I don't believe that they contacted us or we contacted them. I think it's more of it's a dance of sorts.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a contract, but it's
A
a
mutual
mutual agreement,
or
if you will, understanding
Yeah,
that,
there's some frequency. I mean, I'm still yet to try to understand this frequency dance,
yeah,
but it appears anyway that if you think of the soul, right, as your whole head, it's mentioned in the book. That's one of the references that they use. And all the hairs on the head are your different lifetimes and your
or
different
frequencies.
frequencies and experiences. And so
Mm,
how they describe it is that when you are feeling a spiritual connection to something and you don't understand why, it could be the goddess Isis out of Egypt or Kuan Yin. I mean, it doesn't really matter what it is. It
mm,
represents a hair on your head,
mm.
One
one
hair,
hair.
One
And
here. Yeah,
one
one
little
hair, that
frequency.
frequency that you may have experienced in another life. And
that's right.
so it's asking for attention because it's going to help you remember your own divinity, remember who
Absolutely.
you truly are, which is
Yeah, yeah.
spirit.
Now, when you mentioned Huan Yin and Lao Tzu, I have an image of Lao Tzu sitting in my studio right here, just off to the right there. So you are talking my language because they are there, and their wisdom has helped me and so many other people for thousands of years. And I feel with this book that the wisdom that is being imparted through you, shared or whatever, is just part. Now, when I was set out to write my book on the afterlife, I was contacted by Spirit and told to write the book. But rather than let my ego get in the way, I was told, but you are one of many that we have chosen to spread the message. So maybe
Yeah.
that's how you should feel as well, or
Yeah.
maybe you do feel that you are part of a movement from the afterlife, world of spirit, whatever label you want to put on there, to help spread the word, to help, here comes that word again, humanity.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I think, our message is probably simpler than most, right? It's not,
Oh, do you
um,
think so? I don't think it is.
oh, really? That's funny.
No. I
I don't
mean,
know, like when we go to events, there's a lot of talk about, evil taking over the world, and there's talk about ascension and 5D, and Yeshua is just like it's about love.
mm,
It's about love and unity and connection and understanding that we're not separate. So
Right.
that's what I mean by,
yeah.
it's a simpler message.
But love is the binding force of the universe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, it
I've
is.
been trying to put that message out for a long, long time now, and so many other people are doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a profound and simple message at the same time. It's
It,
both.
that's
It's
right.
so simple, it's hard.
Well, why do we make it hard, though, Anthony? Why do we make it hard? Why can't we just open ourselves up, open our hearts, because that's where our soul connects with us, at the heart, tune into our soul, our higher self, and then allow love to come through?
I
Why?
think
Yeah.
it's first of all, we've been conditioned, especially as men, not
Yeah.
to allow so much to come into your heart.
Mm,
Especially, depending on where you grow up and how you grow up. It can be very fearful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our religions will tell us don't allow anything to come in
Because
be-
it's evil.
because it's evil. Don't allow anything to
At least in our
take
generation.
hold of
Yeah, at
you,
least in our
possess
generation.
you, you know.
We've gotten, quite a few positive, reviews on this, but we did get our first negative one, and it was from a Christian woman, out of England. And the message was, I don't like how you portrayed Jesus as being married to Mary Magdalene. That is not how that's
Hmm.
not the story
that's
that
not what she was told, yes.
that's not
Yes,
what she
she's
was told.
told.
And so she was disappointed and maybe a little freaked out. I don't know. But, she had, I guess, purchased it on Kindle and deleted it. And at first, it pierced my heart because, it's it's a mother birthing a baby, and it's
Mm.
like you don't understand. If you just got a little further along in the book, you would just read that the whole book is about love.
But maybe
But
it
it was
did
that,
open a tiny door somewhere in the future for her. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe that's right.
maybe
Magdalene says, all I need is just a little bit of
a little, a
light,
little inch.
little inch, and I'm going to put my foot in that door, and you're not going to be able to close it. Once I get in, she'll say,
More love will come in.
more will come
Or
in.
love will come in. Let's
That's
talk a
awesome.
bit more about the messages of Magdalene and the story that you were telling about her life, about how she reacted to the crucifixion. It must have been horrible. Did you feel that she went back to that time and relived the whole thing?
Yeah,
I can feel
yeah,
Mm.
her when she takes hold of me and speaks through me. I can feel her her femininity, her womanhood of what she is. And when she speaks about the crucifixion, I can feel tears coming to
Mm.
my eyes,
Mm.
yeah.
her crying, literally crying through me.
So think of it as going into her Akashic records and the Akashic records of the time
Yeah.
simultaneously.
I can't even imagine what it must have been like to see something so horrific.
Yeah.
It's got to be I don't
And Barry, she works through
you know
me with automatic writing, right? Something takes over me.
Yep.
And there's a point in there where you may have read where she talks about how she was just walking and everybody felt like ghosts, right?
Mm.
Kind of like how I look right now because of this light. But where she was just dead, to the
Mm.
world and such. So when I wrote that and it came through me, I read it to her to make sure that it was accurate. And that's kind of what happens. She
Mm.
tears up. If I read something back to her,
Mm.
she'll tear up as kind of
But
a
that was
comfort.
her going into her soul, wasn't it? I mean, we are not, our body is not our soul. It's just a vehicle for a human experience. And that is what you put across there. I put across in my books. And people don't realize that. They think that this little bit of flesh we hang on to is all about life. It's not. And I think your book is helping people to go inside that human body and look for more answers, look for more inspiration or whatever they need. And I think that's where your book really comes to the fore.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Lazarus or Yeshua who said, that this bag of bones, right, that we're
Yeah,
in, but I think it was Lazarus who said in his chapter that we are more dead in our physical bodies than we are in our spirit form.
yeah. That was the other thing I loved when we were talking about Yeshua doing the healing. And it was revealed that he wasn't some kind of magician saying, heal thyself, whatever. It was all done through his higher self. And we can do the same. Now, that to me jumped right off the page, right into my mind. Talk to me a bit about that.
yeah, it's amazing how he spoke about during his time where he really didn't heal the way we perceived it.
Hmm.
As he stated, he simply, and I'm not sure, I have an idea how he does it. He would speak with the soul
Because you do that.
because
Yeah.
they allow me to speak with the soul.
Hmm.
And he would speak with the soul in a way that he would say, soul, heal
Heal
yourself,
yourself.
heal
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah.
And the soul would do it. And that's the most incredible thing I've ever heard of before, the way he used to do this.
Hmm.
It's a frequency match. So
Yes.
think about all the work that's coming out of heart math, right? For
Hmm.
example, and heart coherence. Essentially what it is your frequency match. It was Yeshua's frequency match was matching the soul's frequency, right? That he
Yeah.
was working with, and the two agreed together and worked together to heal whatever was going on. That's how they describe it.
And he wants us now. He'll say, don't heal through me, heal through you.
For you.
You are the healers now.
Hmm.
you have the ability to
And the
heal
power.
and the power to heal yourselves.
Mm.
And we are seeing that in science
Yeah,
now
and we're
more.
seeing that through all sorts of things,
Yeah.
right? You know, meditating together and getting into that heart coherence place. That's
Yeah.
really where you need to be for the healing to take place.
Yeah. Well, there's that old saying, isn't there? Physician, heal thyself.
Yeah.
We're all
Yes.
physicians.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's where humanity's heading. You know, we just have to get off and again, we are big believers in science. So we are not, you know, I lost a few friends, you know, recently in the last couple of years who refused to do any chemo or whatever. And I'm not saying that if they had done chemo, you know, they wouldn't have passed either, but just, you know, we really believe in the power of both science, tech. I mean, I
mm,
came out of technology and spirit.
mm,
You know, I'm definitely more holistic, I think, than Anthony is. I would, you know, definitely go holistic first and foremost before anything else. But if I had cancer or was going to lose my leg, I would definitely be right there into the best
mm.
medical institution I could be in, you
Well,
know,
maybe
as
your relationship is the balance that attracted Yeshua and Miriam to work through you in the first place, because maybe you are more like them than you realize.
yeah, I think so.
We're starting to realize that more and more. You, as they would say, you have no idea.
And probably they're right. Now, before we started, I had a little session with my guide, as I often do, and I asked whether or not the spirit of Yeshua and also Miriam might be with us. And I was told, yes, they will be there as you talk to both Renee and Anthony. So have you felt anything as we talk?
I can control it now, but yes, they never leave.
Mm.
As they say, they never leave because we
If
never
he
leave.
gets emotional, they'll come through right away,
Yeah.
or if we talk about something emotional, or if you ask them to come through, they'll come through.
Because we're talking, I can
Yeah.
feel it. You know, it starts to come and I just kind of push it back a little bit. It's like, okay, just ease the energy, you know. If I become too emotional, sometimes it just pops through.
Pops out.
Sometimes
I have a glass of wine,
Yeshua will come
Yeah.
right
comes
through.
right through.
But Anthony, can you uh, almost stand in the middle and say, okay, I still want to be here in body and mind and spirit, but also connect? Because as mediums, we can do this. We can
Yeah.
communicate with spirit. And the messages don't have to come through in the full trance mediumship. They can come through in channeling. They can come through. I mean, I'm a thought medium.
Yeah.
Ideas, messages, also images, all come to me that way. And I'm wondering whether or not, as you progress with your relationship with Yeshua, that may well evolve into a different kind of relationship than you have at the present time. What do you
You
think?
are absolutely right, good sir. It is developing in that way as well.
The avatar that you fear a little bit.
Yeah,
Why?
that's
Why would you feel an avatar?
um, you know, I've been in channel for 3 or 4 days straight.
5,
She says 5.
5 days straight.
4.5, 4.5.
Yeah.
Whoa! You must have been
I know.
exhausted at the end.
No, not exhausted.
The opposite,
It's very uplifting and
energizing.
joyful, energizing,
Mm,
enlivening.
Yeah.
I wake up, I'm still there and I'm still in. But what happens is that Anthony melds together with everything.
mm,
In truth, when we channel, it is the higher self, the soul self that is allowing all of the energies to be together again.
Yeah.
It becomes one again. And my personality changes. I'm not Anthony anymore. I am
You're a little Anthony.
a little Anthony, but Anthony's not there as much. Anthony's a part of everything now.
Well, that's your universal consciousness, surely.
Yeah, I know it's
That's what it
beautiful.
is.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful when it comes through because
Mm,
it's gentle and it's kind and it's loving and
But I
it's
can't
inclusive and
function
yeah.
as that type of being when I have to go out and do therapy with little kids.
mm,
I can do everything there is. Perhaps I can, but it's different. It's very different. It's what would you call it?
Well, it's gentler.
It's
It's
very
definitely
gentle. It's a very
it's
gentle.
more loving. I mean, for me it's great because if I want a head massage or a back massage, I get it from Yeshua just like that. So it's wonderful from a relationship perspective.
Now, when I if I have to go,
He doesn't complain
if
to
I
do the dishes or anything. It's
now
great.
I still practice kung fu. So if I can't. It's hard to practice kung fu when you're like, "Ah, everything is beautiful and lovely,
It
and
works for Qigong.
yes, but not for kung fu." And
no,
that's the part of Anthony that I really like. I
right.
love the energetic part of Anthony, and I love and if I want to lift weights, you know, I want to be Anthony. I don't want to be the soul per se, or I don't want to be Yeshua or Miriam. I
Mm,
just want to be Anthony.
the
I
answer.
like Anthony. Anthony's a cool guy. It's
Oh,
me.
good. Now, I just had a message from the other side to tell you you are not allowed to advertise that you can do Yeshua massages, all right? No putting up a sign.
They are
They have
definitely
a
good.
sense of humor on the other side, I'll tell you.
There is a sense of
There
humor.
is
Oh,
a sense.
We have a group of beings that've been coming through, and they have such it's a very dry sense of
We
humor.
call them the ascended masters. And by the way, our life didn't start with Miriam and
No, it
Yeshua.
didn't.
We channeled pretty much everything and anything you can possibly imagine before Yeshua and Magdalene showed up on our doorstep.
well,
And our crazy ascended master guides finally came through one day and they said, okay, no more Palladians, no more Metatron, no more Melchizedek, no more gods and goddesses. You're done. This is now your purpose. Get on with it.
so there we are. The Palladians are out, and Yeshua and Miriam are in. So where does it take you from here? Just to wrap up things, where do you go from here? You have the wonderful book, Magdalene's Journey, and I urge everybody to read it, but don't try and read it like a novel. Take it as it happens. Where do you go from there?
Where do we go from here? Now,
Hey, all right,
you
let's
know,
sing together. All right, where do we go from here?
from here.
Are
Now
you
that
kidding? You know
all
what
of
I
the
learned?
children have
You know what
grown
I
up.
learned about Barry in the
What?
last 2 hours,
What?
which I only just discovered that we are both musical fans. And I
Oh,
did not know that about him.
there we are.
So
I have a podcast on show business, so Showtime. So there we are.
I can't wait. I'm going to be watching all of them and,
No, no,
viewing
it's
them.
all radio.
Oh, it's all radio
Yeah,
still.
never mind.
I saw Lion King up there. I got excited. So
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Good question. We're going to
the second book has already been started.
Ah, that's what I meant. I had a
Yeah.
feeling.
Second book's already been started. We're told there's 12, so we'll see what comes
12.
through. I know he's
Well,
panicking.
Oh
you didn't know
man.
about that, Anthony, did you? Sorry about that.
We're just going to follow our hearts literally and see where this journey takes us.
Good.
There's more coming from Magdalene and more coming from Yeshua, and who knows who else? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I'm told that you'll have a very big surprise in the second half of this year. It will be sent to you. All right.
What kind of surprise?
If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise, even if I knew what it was.
That sounds great. I love it. We love
Yeah, we
surprises.
love surprises.
Well,
Yeah.
all
And we'd love to start traveling more too. I lived in Australia 1,000 years ago, but haven't been back in a very long
Which
time.
lifetime was that?
Yeah, very many years ago. I was 19 or 20 or something
Oh,
crazy.
It was about 1,000, wasn't
I
it?
lived in Sydney for a little while.
Did you? Well, that's where I am in Sydney. All right.
Yeah.
Look, lovely to meet you both. I hope we can talk again because there's so much more we could talk about with this book. I mean, I'll hold it up for my YouTube viewers. Oops, can't see it. I have Well, I can't see
Wait, I
a
need my
word.
glasses.
But I got a page of points to discuss with you. So maybe we can talk again.
Yeah, we'd love
Love
to,
to.
actually. We could do a whole session just on the Lazarus chapter. That's mind-bending.
Ah, yes, we never even mentioned poor Lazarus.
Miriam will come through, or
Yeah, we could also do a channel
as I say,
session
the
with him.
J-Man, Jesus will come through, and
Good. All right, you're on. You're on,
you're
definitely.
on. It's a date.
It's a date.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for
Thank
everything,
you.
and all the very, very best with the book. I know it will go well because that's what it's all about, helping so many people. Okay.
Wow,
All the
Thank
best.
you. Thank you so much.
Well, I did promise you something very different, didn't I? Magdalene's Journey, a wonderful book. It's available on Amazon. Renee Blodgett and Anthony Compagnone's website is bluesoulearth.com. And I'm sure we all learned a lot from that discussion. And I enjoyed myself thoroughly. Thanks for your company. I'll see you next week on Radio Out There.